there and short-term finance. Now, we all know that the European Union has been using the possibility of moving from a unilateral 20% target to a 30% target as a bargaining chip here, and is expecting more from other countries before it's prepared to make that move. That is the official position now. However, WWF feels that 30% is simply not a bargaining chip, given what we know about what it would mean, A, to stay at 20% or even to move to 30. 20% would mean we would actually have to slow down the current pace of emissions reductions in Europe. We would also forego the economic benefits of deeper reductions as shown by independent studies. And of course, we know that we have to get to even deeper reduction targets to stay on the 2-degree or less pathway that Europe has promoted more than any other region of the world. What is absolutely crucial, therefore, is to find ways of creating real leverage through the target offer, which is why we are suggesting that the Council change the formulation to one of 30% unilateral with a conditional 40% target, because this would mean that there is real pressure put on other countries. Currently, the EU is doing less than the United States in its 2020 target, so it cannot claim to be putting any pressure on it. Now, the big problem here we have to recognize is that targets are only one half of the equation of mitigation. The other one is how you reach them. And there are huge loopholes in the making right now that would gut any target, 20, 30, or 40%. The first of these is the so-called hot air. These are the excess emissions credits that are floating around the system currently, which could be carried over into the future period, meaning that there are huge reductions in the amount of real effort that needs to be made. Europe has hot air inside its own borders, which means that it's uniquely placed to deal with the issue with the much larger amounts that are outside in Russia and Ukraine. The second one is land use change in forestry, known as LULUCF. The rules that Europe is choosing to promote here would actually lead to a pick-and-choose accounting trick, which would yield yet more credit that would mean that there were fewer real reductions made in industry in Europe. And the third one is the use of international offsets. Europe is currently driving the offset market and would have so much credit left over even from the current period that it would cut the effort made in the future. And if we continue the kinds of rules that we have now, we are unlikely to create real reductions through those offsets while preventing real reductions in domestic emissions in Europe. So what we need absolutely is carbon clarity, what the atmosphere really sees, not accounting tricks. On finance, the short-term finance that is being offered or is being considered is no more really than what Europe currently claims to be delivering for climate finance. And therefore, it needs to ensure that the short-term offer is additional to what they're already doing. And they've also given very little clarity on the medium and long-term finance, which is a key piece of the deal here in Copenhagen. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleagues. First of these is Stefan Singh.